Hello, love bugs, and welcome back to the Love Bug Lounge, a podcast about self-love. Tune in, transform, and continue your growth with me, your host, Mia Rose. Hello, lovies. It is Monday. I hope you guys have all been enjoying yourself, especially because summer is here. Here in Georgia, the weather has been changing what seems to be daily. Some days it is warm and sunny and perfect pool days, and the other days it has been chilly and rainy. So if it's like that for you, wherever you are, I hope you have been able to enjoy the sun when it's out and find some comfort in the stormy days as well. It's important to move with the change of life, to be flexible with the unexpected, to find joy in both the planned, the unplanned, the sunny, and the overcast. And that is what today's episode will be about. I'm sure some of you loyal, lovely listeners have noticed that I have been pretty AWOL when it comes to posting episodes and being active on Instagram. And hopefully this episode, along with 2 other episodes that will be coming out, will kind of be able to explain my absence. Of course, they're not only just going to be explaining my absence, they hopefully are relatable and helpful for you guys as listeners, but it will kind of be a little 3-part series. Recently, life has just been a series of changes. I seem to say that every episode. It's like, girl, how many changes could you possibly be going through? But every time I say it, I mean it. And I think I just realized that's maybe just what your 20s are. It's practicing the art of falling in love with something and then letting it go, getting comfortable just to feel like you have to give that up and find comfort in something new. And then just doing that over and over and over again. And it's beautiful and it's poetic, but when you're living it, it is scary and it's hard and it's difficult. So what are some things that have changed? I walked for my graduation. My parents came out for that. And I don't want to say I graduated because I had a study abroad class, which I just got back from. It was in Amsterdam. I'll do a little debriefing about that at some point. But I have a couple more assignments for that. And then I will have my bachelor's, changing from, 3 to 4 slower pace kind of classes because of a long semester, and then going to one very quick class because of the shortened summer semester, plus I was learning Dutch for that. And I'm also going through moving, and where I'm moving from is being sold, so just everything that comes with the packing, the donating, the rearranging, the intensive cleaning, the pictures and walkthroughs and realtors and all of that. And then I got a new job, which I feel so lucky to have, and I love it, but it is an authentic Italian place, so it feels like learning another language, just to be good at understanding the menu and being able to explain to your guest what things are. Plus, the restaurant just opened, so I've never opened a restaurant before, and it's challenging. It's fun, and it bonds the people that you work with, but it is definitely challenging. And there's so many things that go into a new job that you kind of forget. It's not only just learning the menu, but it's understanding management. It's learning names and meeting coworkers and understanding where things go and learning side work, and just so many things that become second nature when you've been at a job for a really long time. You forget that once upon a time you did have to learn this. And I will probably get into this. No, I will get into this more in the future, but I'm unfortunately going through a breakup right now, which is, heavy and stressful in and of itself, without all of the other things going on. And then there's the anxiety of the anticipated things to come, the new set of challenges I know that are in the near future, like, having to actually find a place, having to actually move the stuff in, possibly having new roommates, having to interview them or get interviewed by them, and just navigating all of those different things. And this is just literally another example of how your 20s are just constant changes and readjustments. I think in a weird way, I partly feel like I have to prove my busyness to you guys, or really just to anyone, so that they could validate that this actually is a busy time and would be for anybody, and it's not just me being dramatic. I'm learning to grow out of this. I'm learning that honestly my perception to my situation is the only one that matters when it comes to how I handle it, how I cope with it. Because candidly speaking, if I feel overwhelmed by something, but someone else thinks I shouldn't be overwhelmed, and I move off of their perspective instead of my own, and I don't take the time I need to recoup or to recharge, I don't ask for help, I don't space things out the way I need to, and then my mental or my physical health gets bad or gets worse, then I'm truly the only one that's going to have to suffer those consequences. I mean, I guess not the only one, but I'm the main one that's going to have to suffer those consequences. And this goes for anything in life, for you, for me. Anybody could tell you how to live or what it should look like or what you should do, but you're the only one living with those results. You are often the only one that's going to feel the full experience of your actions. You are the one that's going to feel the full range of the comfort and discomfort, the regret, etc. I'm really truly learning that and taking that in, and that's why there wasn't 2 episodes, because I'm learning to listen to my body. I'm learning to listen to its needs, and truly your body will tell you what you need. We really just have to listen. Recently I learned about this thing that crows do. It's called anting, I believe. I should have looked it up before I started recording, but when crows are feeling that they're getting sick, they fly to a near anthill and they land in it, and they stay completely still, and they let the ants crawl up and down all around their body, because there's something that ants have, like some type of chemical or pheromone or something that is released onto the crow that stops them from getting worse, and then it actually starts reversing the effects of the sickness. And learning about this made me think about how human beings we have these kind of things that go off in our head that push us to do what we need to do to feel better, to get better. These kind of like signals, alerts, alarms, whatever you want to call it. And a lot of times now we're so out of tune of how to listen to them and how to know what our body needs or what it's asking for, and we don't trust our intuition, we don't trust the messages from our body. And I thought about how funny it would be if the crow didn't listen, if the crow had that urge to go anting or whatever it's called, and instead it was like, no, I'll push through, I'll just go clock into work like nothing's wrong, I'll push myself to fly harder, I'll stay up and make the kids their dinner or whatever it is that crows do. But I thought about the fact that that is what we do to ourselves. It's what we even do to others. Our bodies will tell us what they need. If it's rest, if it's connection, if it's water, if it's food, if it's laughter, whatever it is, who knows? But instead, we'll give it these other things to deal with the symptoms instead of the cause. And we'll think the answer is in pushing ourselves harder to get past it, instead of just slowing down and accepting what it is and letting it pass. I'm a person that did this all the time. I thought it was some type of badge of honor to power through, to not complain, to not speak up for myself. I thought it made me tough. I thought it made me respectable. And, maybe some people, maybe it did make them like me more, but I think at times those could be the wrong people. I did this a lot during work. I would stay late or come in early. I would come in last minute. I would stay when I was sick. I would stay through heartbreak. I would stay through grief. I never called off. I never complained. And I don't know or think that my managers respected me. I just think I was an easier variable to work with. I was reliable, but there's a difference between like having a friend that's reliable and the way you appreciate that versus having a someone that works under you that's reliable, you know. And maybe they did like me as a person or enjoy my personality. Maybe they did feel like I had strong qualities, but maybe not. The point is that I was a worker that made things run more smoothly. Like, did my wellness really matter outside of my efficiency, or outside of, you know, how well, like, my turnout or how much money I was making for them? Probably not. You know, I was replaceable at the end of the day. So all of these things that are greatly affecting my life, for them, they did not, I don't think they really cared about those things outside of how it was affecting their money. Just in the last year, I've been working on setting boundaries, doing what's right for myself, not just in my personal life, but also at work, which is scary for me. I've realized that no one is going to take care of you or look out for you the way that you can for yourself. That's not to say that no one's going to do it at all. I do think people do it at times. A friend sticks up for you, a parent defends you, a partner takes care of you, but consistently, day in, day out, over the course of your whole life, it has to be you. I think that sadly, more times than not, you know, strangers or managers, bosses, they're going to push you or use you as much as you allow them to. They aren't going to set those boundaries for you or even check in with you to see if you're going to set the boundary for yourself, like give you the space, the time, the opportunity, the safe space to feel like you can. Obviously, not everyone is like this, but opportune people are. I think I thought someone was going to save me or stick up for me. Like at work, I think someone would see that I was, you know, too sick or too sad to continue with the day, and then they'd let me go home, or, you know, they would recognize my hard work of pulling through and not complaining, and for that I'd be rewarded. But that's not what happens. Like it's just, that's not reality. There's very few times that someone is going to be like, hey, like, are you sure you're able to handle this? Like, or hey, like, so you get this space that you need, like, I'll pick up this slack. I think more times people are going to base it off of how you take care of yourself. They're going to say, well, obviously it's not that big of a deal, or it's not that bad because they're here now. And I don't think everyone's being malicious and, you know, not doing that. I think people just don't think of it. I think some people are being a little just slimy. Like, they'll see someone as, you know, like sick or overwhelmed, and they'll be like, well, until they say something, I'm not gonna, you know, make their time any easier. Or if they say something, I'm gonna just like try and push their boundaries a little bit more to get what I want. I don't think that's everyone. I think some people just don't even know what's going on, and how could they, unless, you know, you speak up and you set those boundaries. So this is the lesson I've been learning for myself. I've really been trying to listen more to my body, to my needs, to determine, am I doing this for someone else? Am I doing this for me? And not everything in life is going to completely be for you. It shouldn't be. That's a completely selfish existence. And I mean, and even things that are for you aren't going to be your first choice, like clocking into work. Obviously, not my ideal way I want to spend my time, but it's something I have to do. So really, I guess the line of questioning has more been asking myself something along the lines of, what am I losing by doing this, and what am I gaining? Is this, you know, putting me in less harm, or is it bringing on more harm? So cutting back to the present, it has felt like a tornado of things just happening one after the other, no break in between. And then, of course, during it, there's regular life that you have to keep up with: cooking, cleaning, laundry, shopping, relationships, social life, and this podcast, which has become a normal part of my life. And I just realized at this time in life, I did not feel like I could get episodes out, which, when the thought has come through my mind in the past, it's been an unacceptable thought. I've always told myself that you have to get an episode out every other Monday, no exceptions. It does not matter what's going on in your life. And I've made myself in the past push through midterms or finals or traveling. I've cut out sleeping and eating to make sure I had enough time to write, edit, record, and get it out on time. And I would be off of, no sleep, doing everything for the podcast, then going to work a double or go to an internship or, go to school and take tests and do all of those things, because in my brain it was unacceptable to not get an episode out. And I would consciously tell myself that the tiredness or the fatigue I felt, that was my punishment for not planning better, for not writing or recording earlier, for doing it too last minute. And I would tell myself that I had to feel this misery in order to learn, in order to do better next time. But honestly, it didn't really work because it consistently happened. And it probably didn't really work because I wasn't procrastinating. I literally was just booked full. So I went through this maybe around 3 times. Each time it was exhausting, and it was making me lose the kind of warm and fuzzy feelings that the podcast usually brings me. And those feelings would come back when the podcast eventually would be out. I would feel a lot of pride, but it didn't get rid of the daunting process that it had been just to get the episode out. So this last time, it seemed like it was going to have to be something similar. Like I was going to have to cut out like a necessity, like sleeping. But with this new job, I just could not afford to be exhausted. I was studying every night about the menu, about the food, about the wine, the ingredients. I know from being a psych girly that in order to remember anything, you need sleep. And really, to me, there was no point of studying if I wasn't going to get sleep in order to actually concrete that knowledge in. I was waking up early for training, long days of training. My commute was a little bit longer, and I wanted to make a good impression on the managers and the coworkers I was surrounded with. And that was a lot less likely to happen if I didn't get enough sleep. And so for the first time, I told myself it's okay to take a break. It's okay to miss this week. Then I told myself it's okay to miss the next week too. And I expected myself to feel angry, to berate myself, to stress about everything I could have done differently, to get a different outcome. But that's not what happened. Instead, I felt this wave of relief. I really truly think my body and mind were just so grateful to get what they needed that I didn't have the energy or time or even the want to be mad at myself, because I was finally listening to myself. And that feeling of relief was my proof. That was my proof that my choice was being rewarded. And then it's funny because that's how today's episode even came to you. The overall message of it's okay to take a break. It's okay to slow down. It's okay to move a deadline. It's okay. Like this episode wouldn't be here if I hadn't learned and lived the very message that I'm sharing now, For someone, me, that has found all of their worth in their success, their accomplishments, their hard work, their sacrifice, this mindset that it's okay, that did not feel acceptable in my past. This mindset, felt like a slippery slope, that if it's okay to quote unquote fail, because that's what it was to me, like not getting an episode at a time, that's a failure. I'm failing. So if it was okay to fail once, to push a deadline back or to let yourself slip up, if that was okay once, then it's okay always. Then you'll fail always. I'll give up always. I'll never stick with what I want to do. But what I've learned is you cannot hate yourself into getting better. I'm going to say it again. You cannot hate yourself into getting better. You cannot hate yourself into getting better. You cannot hate yourself into getting better. You cannot hate yourself into becoming a better person. You cannot hate yourself into becoming a better person for yourself, especially with something like this. Like, this podcast is supposed to be healing. It's supposed to be personal growth. It's supposed to be mindful. That's not something you could hate yourself into getting better at. Like, I'm sure you could hate yourself into getting better at things that are bad for you. I'll put it that way. But this was not one of those things, And it may not feel like hating yourself, but pushing yourself to unhealthy limits, not doing the necessities of eating and getting sunlight and not getting enough sleep, That's certainly not an act of love. There's a difference between the discomfort of growth, the discomfort of true hard work, and the discomfort of being unhealthy, of making yourself sick, of hurting yourself. The first one, the hard work, there's this natural satisfaction that comes with it. I think the other one, it's kind of like borderline relief when you're not hurting yourself anymore. It's not like a satisfaction. It's just like, oh, thank God, I'm giving myself a break. Life is really just a balance. I feel like this is the message I always come back to, but I'll say it as many times as I need to. I think this practice of recognizing the balance starts with that question of, is this causing me more or less harm? If you're pushing through a workout, your idea of harm is the pain from the workout, the discomfort from the workout, then it's worth it. But if you're throwing up at work and the harm you're putting yourself through is the difference of staying sick, possibly getting worse, possibly getting others sick, versus the harm of getting a point or feeling like you're going to be looked down at your managers, I think that's a different story. Life by no means is always easy or always comfortable, and it shouldn't be. However, you should be working towards making long-term peace for yourself, and that takes investing in yourself in the right ways right now. You could learn to start doing this for yourself at any time in life, but if you are hearing this message early on in life, then that's wonderful. That's really a beautiful thing, because you could start protecting your future right now. I recently was hearing a manager at my job talk about how they feel like this sacrificial kind of mindset got them to the position they are now, which is a good position. All their hard work, all of the times they never said no, the pushing themselves past the limit, the, like I said, constant sacrifice. I agree, it's inspiring, but I see this manager be riddled with self-doubt. I see them, smoke. I don't want to say chain smoke. I don't know them that well, but smoke from anxiety. I've heard them talk about staying up and recounting all of the errors they made that day. And yeah, they are easily the hardest working one in the room, but I think it's because their identity would be lost without that, and they wouldn't know what their worth was without that. And this constant stress, and then the coping from that stress, smoking cigarettes or, drinking, it ages the body and the mind and the soul so much. And it's kind of like a rat race in a way, like you never feel like you're good enough to take that break, to rest. Ultimately, it's just a job, but it might be taking so much more from you. And jobs are needed, money is needed, not only to survive, but money provides safety and comfort and experiences. But in some ways, what good are those things if you're too sick, or if you're alone, or if you're too unhappy to ever experience them? I see this all the time with men working so much that even on vacation, they don't feel like they could actually enjoy the vacation because they're thinking about work. And I think it's something crazy, like 95% or 85% of men on their deathbed say, I wish I didn't work so much. I wish I enjoyed time with my loved ones. And this mindset, that's what this is taking from you. It's taking time you can't get back. It's possibly taking memories, or taking away trips, or taking away connections that you could have, but you can't, because you can't ever really clock out. Even when you're not at the job, it's still taking up all of your time, your feelings. And so I just want you guys to take care of yourself, love bugs. I want you to be kind to your body, be kind to your mind, be kind to your soul, be kind to others, and show yourself patience, show yourself forgiveness. Base your worth not on your performance, but on your presence, on your continued effort. If you are the type of person that can relate to this, I don't expect you to change overnight, but just notice it, recognize it, and start to kind of imagine what life would be like if you weren't that way, if things changed. What are the best things that could come from it? What are the worst things that could come from it? Are those worst things really going to happen, or is that just your anxiety and fear speaking for you? Just start to get curious about yourself. Start to get curious about what life could look like without that anxiety, without your worth and your value being placed in the places you have them now. And what are the steps you could start to take to become that person? I believe in you. I love you. And that is the end of our episode 14. It's crazy. It's been 14 episodes. Recording this episode felt a lot like recording my first episode. It was kind of uncomfortable. I didn't realize how comfortable I had gotten from just continuously always recording, like taking a bit of a break. It actually made a difference, but it was kind of fun in a way, I guess, to realize that how far I'd come. And yes, I've gone backwards, but that just means I could go forward again. And, I don't know. I just thought it was cute to mention. But anyways, if you love me, leave me a review on Apple Podcasts. Give a thumbs up, a comment, a heart, a like, a subscribe. Send me a DM. Whatever you want. Just show me that you're alive and listening. I can't wait to hear from all your beautiful faces. I miss talking to you, and I'll talk to you very soon. Goodbye.